Hello, BookTube. This is a sort of addenda. I'm not sure if we'll insert it into the part two of the Q&A or make it its own separate part. I had finished filming this afternoon the questions and then my answers, sort of in celebration of 500 subscribers. And then while we were downloading, we got from Thomas McManus. Thank you, Thomas. Congratulations on 500. Thank you again. And I enjoy your bookshelf tours. My question, do you have a favorite fiction book about sailing or the sea? And of course, that kind of question goes right to the heart. It's a big part of what I love. I haven't been talking about as much lately as I'd like to. I've done a couple book chats about Patrick O'Brien, but I read a tremendous amount of nautical fiction, and I have for years. Started with the Douglas Reaman books and Horatio Hornblower, and now I'm reading a lot of Patrick O'Brien, Dudley Pope, Ramage, all sorts of this stuff. It's the whole world, and to answer the question, which is an interesting one for me. I have so many favorites, but a lot of them have something in common, and it starts with nonfiction. And then it goes into fiction, and I'll show you the relationship. And it may be a surprising one to some of you. And if we were to start it, let me organize here a little bit. We could start in the nonfiction realm with this folio. It has a slipcase. I didn't bring it over here. And it is Admiral Lord Cochrane's Memoirs of a Fighting Captain. And Cochrane was an immensely interesting human being, and I'll read you a little bit. This is a Folio Society edition. It's stunning. London, 2005, the Folio Society. It's just loaded with illustrations and maps. But I wanted to read a little bit from the introduction. And the introduction is by Brian Vale. And it's Thomas, Lord Cochrane, later 10th Earl of Dundonald, was one of the celebrities of the early 19th century. His endearing and ability as a naval commander made him an outstanding frigate captain during the Napoleonic Wars and a major contributor to the liberation of Chile, Peru, and Brazil, whose revolutionary squadrons he led during the Wars of Independence. He was also an aristocrat and a member of the establishment, but his distaste for the corruption of the Georgian political system turned him into a leading figure in the radical movement. And his mechanical skills and technical interests made him a pioneer of the challenges which steam and new weapons posed for the Victorian Navy. When he died, shortly before his 85th birthday in 1860, he had acquired almost legendary status. I would say that he has now acquired legendary status for sure. So this sea captain, this frigate captain, a legend in the Georgian period and Napoleonic Wars. So there you have that. I can show you actually some of the images. These Folio Society books are, as always, stunning. And one of the nice things is the work they do to provide you with historic images. So again, and I'm gonna get to the question here. Here's a biography. That first was a memoir. This is a biography. Cochrane, The Life and Exploits of a Fighting Captain by Robert Harvey. And below you'll notice something here that's going to all tie together. The model for the best-selling novelist Patrick O'Brien's Jack Aubrey. And that's very true. So again we have, let me see if I can do this a little less glare. I'm filming where I normally don't, as you probably can tell. So you have maps. There's Cochrane in old age. And there's some more images. This is a wonderful biography. It came out, and I'd recommend it if you're into nautical fiction. And this is Carroll and Graf Publishers Incorporated in New York, and this is the first edition of 2000 by Robert Harvey. And I like to read a little bit off the bat right here. Some 10 or 11 years ago, a respectable American publisher suggested that I should write a book about the Royal Navy of Nelson's time. I was happy to agree, since both the period and the subject were congenial, and I quickly produced the first of the Aubrey series, a novel based upon Lord Cochrane's early days in command of the Speedy, which provided me with one of the most spectacular single-ship actions of the war, as well as a mass of authentic detail. So, these two nonfiction works are going to lead to three related fictional works. Now, we've already said Patrick O'Brien, and here it is. Master and Commander. My editions happen to be the Folio Society, which I love. And the end papers are map, the Mediterranean. Folio Society, London, 2008. In this case, the introduction is by Max Hastings. Absolutely fantastic novel. And it was originally came out in 1970, or at least that's the date here. This is a third printing by the Folio Society, 2009. It was first published by William Collins Sons and Company Limited in 1970. So, again, being a Folio Society volume, you can tell. So, Captain Jack Aubrey, and I love this novel, is based and inspired by Cochrane. We also have another person who's based on and inspired by Cochrane, and that would be Mr. Midshipman Hornblower by C.S. Forrester. I don't know if I can get this out of the glare. This lighting's a little strange. Probably not going to be able to do much better than that. Maybe that's a little better. And these are reprints. This is cover illustrations by Douglas Smith. Let me see if it's a better way to read it here. Yeah, Little Brown and Company, Boston. And this came out originally in 48. And yeah, this is reissued paperback by Back Bay Books, 1998. And again, it's Napoleonic Wars. And Hornblower, Cochrane first was on the books of one of his relatives was a high-ranking person in the Royal Navy. So Cochrane was on the books for ships from the age of like 5. But he didn't really show up until he was 17, which was actually fairly late. And here you'll see Hornblower is a 17-year-old boy who shows up. So there's a big correlation between Horatio Hornblower and this whole series of novels. To me, in a different way, is the equal of Patrick O'Brien. It's just a different type of writing, and I love them both. So now you have your second character, and neither of these should be a surprise to anybody who reads nautical fiction. But there's a third captain who is a direct descendant of Captain and later Admiral Cochrane. And that is this one. Captain James T. Kirk, James Tiberius Kirk, was based in large measure, on Admiral Cochrane. And the interesting thing about that is that Cochrane has become sort of this ideal of a ship's captain. Just like Captain Picard from The Next Generation was heavily based on Jacques Cousteau. So my favorite sea fiction is based, and my favorite space fiction are based on, in large part, there's more elements, but in large part on Cochrane, a real life character. And so I'd like to thank Thomas McManus for this this wonderful question, and thank you, BookTube.